Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. For those that I do not know, my name is John Badesky. I have the pleasure to welcome each of you here this morning for the ribbon cutting on this new courtroom. You'll have an opportunity as we commence today to see the other facilities that we have expanded in what was once the shell side of this facility, so please stick around after all of the ribbon cuttings. It is really my honor to welcome our special guests here and thank you for having us in your courthouse, Judge Harris and Judge Kelly. Thank you so much for having us here this morning. Also like to recognize the members of our Commonwealth Attorney's Office. Thank you for being here this morning with us as well. I saw our Clerk of Courts, Frank Hargrove. Frank, thank you and your team for being here with us this morning. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the officers and leadership of our Sheriff's Department. Our Sheriff's Office works diligently to support the operations of this building each and every day, and thank you for being here and thank you for your work. Also want to recognize the members of the Board of Supervisors who made the commitment to help us further this project. I'd like to welcome our Chair, Canova Peterson. I'd like to welcome from the Chickahominy District, Angela Kelly-Wiesack. Welcome. From the Cold Harbor District, Michael Herzberg. From the Beaver Dam District, Rob Manolo. From the Ashland District, Faye Pritchard. And from the Henry District, Sean Davis. Thank you for all being here. A project like this does not come together without a great deal of partnership and effort, and I'd like to recognize some of the partners that made today possible. And first, I'd like to recognize the members of our General Services Department, Chip, and your team. Don, thank you for your leadership on this project. Jonathan, I know you really carry the load for the team, but thank you for being here. And the efforts that you put in throughout the design bid process and working with our other partners. And so I'd certainly like to recognize our construction management team from MVP. Steve Pancham, thank you for being here. This has been multiple projects we've worked with you. Thanks for your team's effort. And from Mosley, we have a number of folks with us today. Tony Bell, Chris Roman. Is Chris with us? Well, we know Caitlin does the real work, so thank you, Caitlin, for all of your efforts, and they haven't gone unnoticed. The team here always recognizes your levels of professionalism and support to this project, not only in the initial construction, but throughout the renovation, so thank you for all of your efforts. The team, Kenbridge, could not be here, our actual contractor, but thank them for all of their work. They made a process in an actively operating courtroom very seamless, so thank them for their construction efforts. Some of you may know that the initial courts facility was constructed during my first tenure here as Deputy County Administrator. It was one of the projects that I was extremely proud to represent county administration in part. We built this space thinking it was going to serve our 50-year needs of the courthouse facility. And like many things, on occasion, our friends at the state sees otherwise to recognize laws and opportunities to expand the judicial process and have allowed more jury engagement in the judicial deliberations. And I commend our judicial team for recognizing, and our Commonwealth Attorney's Office for recognizing early on the impact that was going to have to our existing court operations, and they had approached us and helped raise the awareness, and we made this project a priority, and I'm just glad that we and the board were able to help support that path. Today's services will be brief, so we're going at the end of a few speeches here this morning. We will do a number of ribbon cuttings, and we'll call those up as soon as the chair completes his remarks, but it's truly now my honor to welcome Judge Kelly for a few remarks. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I'm not used to the microphone being quite this close to me, but I did want to take an opportunity to thank the board and Mr. Badesky for this building, or for the courtroom. We all can agree that no one really wants to come to court, but when you need to come to court, you want to have access to the courts. And this courtroom provides better access for the citizens of Hanover, which is really who the board is responsible to. And so it is a beautiful building, but it provides more access, and they can get in quicker and be heard faster to resolve their ongoing disputes. And I would like to thank some people who have been involved in this project, that have worked with, they might think unfortunately, with me on a regular basis in my long list of questions. But certainly Mr. Badesky, first of all, he was certainly instrumental in helping us formulate this plan and going to the board. Obviously, the Board of Supervisors for approving it. Mr. England was over here on a regular basis, fielding my questions. In addition to him, Mr. Lee, hi Mr. Lee, and Jonathan in the back, thank you all. You were here and you were very helpful. In addition to that, I got a list so I don't try and forget anyone. I would specifically like to say thank you to the county IT and to Mr. Oskins from the clerk's office, because they implemented all of the new technology. This courtroom is outfitted with the latest and greatest technology, and it's going to hopefully serve, well, it will serve the citizens well into the future. We all know the technology is probably going to change within the next 6 months to a year, but that's just the way things are. In addition to that, I want to thank the Sheriff's Office. I don't think Sheriff Hines is here today, but I think Lieutenant Bain may be here on his behalf. I don't know. And then Major Dandridge. Oh, sorry, Major Dandridge, I just saw you. And then obviously Captain Mallory. They were very involved in the planning and implementing to make this a safe environment for the citizens of Hanover. And so we thank you for coming. This courtroom is going to serve well into the future, and it's going to give access to the citizens of Hanover. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Thank you to the Board of Supervisors, and I think the chairman is going to say a few words. Mr. Peterson, thank you.
Thank you, Judge Kelly. I know you reckon this is your courtroom, but everybody in this county feels like it's ours too, because we definitely, I see all my board members, or most of us here, came on board, several of us came on board 12 years ago. And the closest this was to a courthouse at that point in time was a stack of drawings that had to be completely redone that were on a shelf somewhere over in the administration building. And right after that, we started the planning. Ended up, I believe it was 6 years ago when we actually cut the ribbon for this building, with expansion space built in, and I am so glad that we looked forward and planned for some expansion at the time that the building was designed. We had no idea we would need it within to be in place within 6 years of the time that this building was cut. But here we are today in what is a beautiful courtroom, and I know all of us on the original team that was here when we started this building, and the ones that have been working with us, Mike Hershberg and the facilities committee have been shepherding this last phase through the process, and we're all so proud to see it complete. And I also have to compliment the architects and the builders for the transition from the old to the new. If you don't know where it was, you're not going to see it out there now as you come down that hall. It's been very exceptionally well done, and I know it's going to get good use. I hope it doesn't have to be overused, that we have continue with a law-abiding society around here that will minimize the use for this. But when it's used, as I understand, this is the latest technology, is all available here, which means probably next year it'll be obsolete and we'll be having to find some new stuff. But again, thank you for everybody that was involved. I'm not going to repeat all the names that Mr. Badesky has repeated, but this has been a team effort, and we're all been working together, and I'm personally proud, and I know my fellow board members are just as proud as I am of having been part of bringing this to fruition. Thanks.
As we wrap up today, I just wanted to give a little bit more of the history before we do a ribbon cutting. When this space was dedicated as shell space, we kept calling it, above the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, that had also relocated over here from an original design. At one time, the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office was intended to potentially stay in another building. And so the redesign that we did when we, probably about 9 years ago now, included moving the Commonwealth's Attorney over, and we envisioned having this space for future growth. At that time, we had envisioned this area to be 2 separate operating courts, and certainly we will have the flexibility on the other side. But one of the key areas, for those that recall the old facilities, safety of the employees that serve within these walls and our guests was paramount. We used to bring some of our jail guests up black metal stairs in the rain or in the snow and ice and safety was a key component. That was not forgotten yet again in this renovation. This renovation included security facilities that are between this and the additional room that's no longer a courtroom. We've made that more of a jury assemblage room, and you'll be able to have an opportunity to tour that while you're here as well. I do need to let you know, usually when we're opening these facilities, we have a little bit of soft opening periods of time and to sort of work through the bugs. We are between active courts here today. And so this facility is already being used. In fact, we had to wait a little bit for the earlier courts to complete. And so unlike some of the other facilities where we have that period of time, not here. And so we will move forward with our ribbon cutting components.